Hello to all my friends out there. So I'm working today and it's very hot. Of course. I want to talk to you guys how there's nothing new under the sun. So let's see. I'm a Christian, so I'm looking at what's going on in the Christian perspective. I am the daughter of a history teacher, so I'm looking at things historically, and I took years of science, so I want to look at things scientifically as well. So in the Bible, King Solomon was given wisdom to rule the people, and after his conclusion was there's nothing new under the sun. And when you really think about it, what's going on now is nothing new under the sun. So like, what do you mean? Okay, at the inception of our country, Britain sent the ne'er-do-wells, or they had like a throwaway population, and they sent it to America. And the thinking was some of them will survive, and they'll be hardy, and they'll be able to colonize this territory for Britain, and some of them will die, but you know, it's a throwaway society. So we have the same thing here. We have the homeless. Some of them will survive, but some of them will die. Okay, the strong ones will colonize the country. Same thing with these immigrants. So this was the thinking at the beginning of the Americas, and so it was going pretty well. But America was war-torn by, let's see, what was it? It was, let's see, the French and the Indian Wars. So the land was war-torn. You know, it was war. So the population was pretty much beat down by war. So the British said, well, we feel justified in taxing you because, you know, we had to help finance for your wars. Not fighting the wars, financing the wars. And they felt like that the people would be easily controlled because they were already beat down by war or poverty. Look at it any way you want. So, you know, the Americans said, no, we're not paying any taxes. So the British sent armies to America to control them. And then, thanks to George Washington, who was a military genius, the Americans defeated the British and claimed the country for themselves. We had the birth of America. Kind of the same thing was in the event like of the Civil War was kind of the same thing. So all these wars result in death. Okay, we had the black people that were enslaved, but we also had the Mormons. A lot of people forget about this, that were driven out of Missouri in the dead of winter with children to get out and possibly survive or die, and their farmlands and cattle and everything they had was taken over. So Abraham Lincoln came along and freed the slaves, and he also said, if the Mormons don't bother us, we're not going to bother them. Prior to that, they were planning on bothering them. So this is what we have in our country, and Utah is suffering a lot right now. And if any of you live in Northeast, I'm praying for you guys. So what we had is we had these populations that were like considered marginal, to say the least. And they prevailed down through the ages, because now we come to animal survival of the fittest. So a lot of people go, I hate evolution, it's not biblical, it's wrong, how can you even say that? Well, there's nothing new under the sun. Some people will survive, some people will not literally survive this. And in the animal kingdom, I used to take all these science classes, and I used to watch all these videos. I used to watch videos of droughts and then they would study the animals. During World War II, the scientists had nothing better to do, did experiments, interesting experiments on monkeys. And so the monkeys could be very ingenious at getting bananas for treats. Also, I've heard about these chimerises lately, which would be a cross between a human and an animal. And they have admitted to inserting the DNA of a human into cow eggs, and they say they have destroyed them. But I think they're lying. I think there's all kinds of experiments going around, and some of them will survive. And I heard something interesting. It was a pastor, and he said, whole new populations are being created. And I thought, yeah, I bet. The thing is, when they insert the DNA into the denucleated egg, they have to agitate it. So the inception is created by severe agitation. The demons used to enter animals, and they would, like dolphins, swim them and circles and agitate them, and then they could enter. But in these clones, they agitate the egg to make it accept the foreign DNA. But that's not what we're going on. Okay, so now in the animal kingdom, some of them will survive I've heard stories about ants would go underground, animals would go into caves. There's all kinds of instructions in the Bible. When you see the desolation coming, run for the mountains, that sort of thing. But some of the animals will survive and some will go extinct. And so, hopefully the humans will help these at-risk populations. But when you look around, now California, we have a lot of homeless. When you look around, does it look like these people are receiving any real help? Well, they have to get the help for themselves. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about The Walking Dead. What is The Walking Dead? Or zombies? We have thousands of them in California, and what they are people who are just walking around in a state trying to survive one day to the next. That is a walking zombie, suffering from malnutrition. So it doesn't paint a pretty picture. So what they are is just like when the British sent the throwaway population to America. We have them in every town and city, big city. And the thinking is some of them will survive, some of them will not. Okay, infants. Some of them will survive birth, some of them will never be born. In that case, the infant is extremely helpless. Some of these homeless, malnourished people are too. And then we have the elderly. Okay, one of the scariest things they did is they wouldn't let the families enter nursing homes, and a lot of the elderly died of the COVID. Remember, somebody we know used to be a nurse, and I'm just going to say it. If a person, an elderly person, has pneumonia and you lower the head of the bed, they will die of asphyxiation. It happens every single day here. That is like the infants that have no ability to survive. They killed my uncle, so, Okay, they said he died of the COVID. Now, I want to talk to you guys about medicine. Okay, in the Bible, there is historical, biblical history of the Egyptians, and they worshipped an idol god of medicine. And the idol god of medicine was called Isis. And Isis had the head of a frog and the body of a human. Okay, you guys, make what you want of this, but could they ever create a frog and a human? It's been depicted in history. Okay, so now, and these people don't necessarily have to be, they can be manifesting a spiritual chimeras or whatever it's called. So Isis, Also, if you remember, I was studying the Secret Doctrine, and one of her first books was Unveiling of Isis, and in a lot of people it was considered witchcraft, actually. Anyway, so people would worship medicine more than God, and so they received a judgment, and it was sores. Lots of diseases can cause sores, but, you know, this was their judgment. And it chronicles a whole bunch of judgments. Now, a lot of us say the judgments are for the evildoers. The judgments are not for the believers. So we had a sad one here. Some guy hit 10 street people under a bridge when he was impaired. You know, he was old. So it's the same thing as the throwaway society that Britain sent here. Some of these people will live through this. A lot of us think that the great revival will come from these strong people that survive. Now back to the nothing new under the sun. So Britain felt justified in taxing the Americans who were war-torn, and they said they'll have nothing, they can do nothing about it. So now we find ourselves, if we're weakened, they feel justified. They're saying, okay, we're giving you $1,600, so we're justified in taxing you. What does our history tell us happened? Well, at some point, probably when they think we're very, very weak, the taxes will become such a burden that it's possible that the Americans might rebel. I thought to myself, if I was going to pinpoint a beginning, I would say that rushing of the Capitol let them know how vulnerable they possibly are. Although I think that was totally contrived. But anyway, so those are the three things we're looking at. We're looking at history, we're looking at animals, and we're looking at medicine. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and I was going to say and survive, but I meant to say subscribe. If you're an older woman, another thing I want to mention about California. Okay, I lived in California all my life, and I knew that I had to work all the time. And I was able to survive that way. So, you know, it's pretty much that way. The only way to really survive inflation is earn your way through it. It's hard to save your way through it because your money is worth less. I mean, think about your grandmother's Social Security and imagine they got that much money today. Well, then we go back to the survival of the fittest thing. And also, just because here in California, you bought a house a long time ago, it's strongly possible that you are not going to be able to survive the taxes. So, and then, you know, to aggravate the situation, they bring all these immigrants into the country, and then they expect the American people to sustain them through taxation as well. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and survive. Somebody up there, and subscribe, and God bless you all.